So I came from a Catholic family, a couple generations of Catholics, got baptized as a child, went through catechism, communion, but not really grasping what God was about, never really understanding what He had to offer for me or what the religion had to offer for me. I went through not really knowing God at all, never doing Bible studies, never understanding the Bible, but we would go to church on Christmas and on the holidays, not really feeling anything about it. So as I became older, I kind of pushed God away and really didn't believe in the organized religion. And as I got even older, I decided that if anything's going to have to be done, it's going to have to be through me. I can't rely on some God or a family member or anyone. It has to be me. So I was that person. I was the strong guy. I always did things the way I had to do them to get what I needed to get done. But looking back, I know I wasn't happy. It was just going through the daily routines of work and life. So as I became a young adult, I got into music. I started getting into bands. I started doing drugs. So as time went on, got married, got divorced. Met another woman, got married, got divorced again. Two just, as now I look back, unhappy marriages that took a lot of years out of my life, but not really understanding again that there was a God out there that could help me. Then I happened to meet someone who I think God put into my life for a reason, and that's my wife, Cindy. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be the person I am right now. And I have another blessing in my life is my neighbors, Dennis and Dina Korecki. Without them, I would have never made it through those years by myself. They were there for me on holidays. They invited me over. They pretty much took care of me when they knew I was down, and they were always there for me, which I really appreciate. And again, looking back now, I know that was God's work, because no other reason would they have been there. Because I wasn't a bad person, but I wasn't the best person either. So we're sitting in my backyard and we're talking, and Cindy goes, "Do you know of a good church to go to?" And Dina goes, "Yeah, why don't you come to our church? We're having a breakfast for people who just want to come check out the church. Why don't you come and have breakfast with us?" So we came into the church and we walked in, and I wasn't really expecting a whole lot, but when we walked in, it was just an amazing thing. There's people greeting me, saying hello that I'd never even met before. They smiled at me. It was just such a uplifting experience, and I never realized that this was what church life could be. And as we're sitting in the service, it seemed like Pastor Dan, who I didn't really know at the time, was talking directly at me. He was talking about things that it was my life. And afterwards, I looked at Cindy and said, "Did you email this guy? Did you tell him before? Because I don't know how he knew that he needed to speak to me about these things." And probably 4 or 5 services in a row it was like it was directed at me, and I could not believe it. And I kept telling her, "How is this possible?" And she goes, "It's the work of God." During this time, because of the broken marriages and all the other things that were happening in my life, I was feeling all this stress, and the stress was beginning to become overwhelming. And even though Cindy was in my life and she was helping me out, the stress was just getting unbearable. And I kept coming to church, and Pastor Dan would keep going, you have to believe in God. You have to give your life to Christ. That's the path you want to take. He'll be there to help you. He'll pick you up. And it got to the point where I'm driving home from work one day, and between work and the stress of paying my bills and the possibility of losing my home, I just gave myself to Christ and said, I cannot do this anymore by myself. I need you to be in my life. I can't do it. It's just too hard. I'm going to give my life to you. And that was the day, driving home from work, that I gave myself to Christ. And it seemed like a big relief, a big weight off my shoulders. So I come home, I tell Cindy what I've done. I said that I've given myself to Christ today. Within probably 2 or 3 weeks was my court case to have my home foreclosed on. So I decided, well, you know what, I'm going to make some phone calls. I'm going to give it a last-ditch effort. I'm going to see what I can do. So I make the phone call to the attorney who's in the process of trying to take my home from me. And I said, And I gave them the spiel: if they take my home, this is what's going to happen, and this is not what's going to happen. And they go to me, well, sir, it's been taken care of. And I go, well, what do you mean it's been taken care of? Your mortgage company has taken care of it. I go, how's it possible? She goes, they took care of it a couple days ago. She goes, it's fine. Your court case is dropped. And I go, you're kidding me. And I could not believe it. It was just like, it's true. It's true. You give your life to him, he will help you. Well, it came down to it that one day we're sitting there in church, and I said, Cindy, I want to do that. I need to be baptized. And she goes, really? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, you know what? I want to do it too. So we got baptized together here at Parma Heights, and it was just an awesome experience. It was one of the best things that's happened to me in my life in a long time. It changed my life. The whole experience here has changed my life. So one day I made an appointment to meet Pastor Craig and try out, and sat in a room and talked for probably about an hour. And I played for him, and he said I'd make a good fit. So I started playing in the worship band, and it's been like such a wonderful experience. It just filled my heart with joy. I just love being up there and playing for the church and playing for God. It's a wonderful feeling. And I know again that if it wasn't for the Lord, I'd be where I'm just stuck in a rut and just playing in the room that I normally play in and not really doing anything with my musical ability. So I'm very grateful that I'm here and able to play for everyone here and for the Lord. So looking back now, I see the wonderful things the Lord has done for me. Becoming part of the Welcome Center and the worship band and youth group and being involved in all these things for Him has just made my life so much more wonderful. Giving me Cindy and my neighbors, everything has just been so much better for me. It's not saying that the stress is gone, but I know now that I have someone I can lean on, and He will be there for me. And I'm just so grateful that I took that chance with Him that day driving home. It's been a wonderful experience.